In this video, we are going to explore how to solve a quadratic by completing the square. Now, what we are trying to attempt to do is to find the x value that makes this equation true. And there's a few techniques. There's graphing, there's factoring, there's the quadratic formula. Well, one other technique is completing the square. So let me show you how you do that. We're going to get the x terms by themselves, and I'm going to put this little blank here as a little placeholder. We're going to add 3 to the other side and move it over, so it's going to become a positive 3, and then I'm going to add a little placeholder right there. Okay, now how does completing the square work? Well, what we want is we want the perfect square that will equal a number that we can turn this into. So the way that we're going to do that is we are going to take half of this number, and it's going to always fill this spot right here. So half of our middle term is going to fill that spot. Now this is always going to be an x. We got to make sure that's an x squared, and that will always be an x, which it is. And then half of this number fills this spot. Well, half of positive 2 is positive 1. So you take half there. And then this spot is going to be filled by squaring that number. So whatever that number is, we're going to square it. Now, I actually write it here to remind me what I'm doing, and then I'm going to actually do the square and put it over here. Well, 1 squared is 1. Now, on the right, we are ready for it to just be a number. 3 plus 1 is going to fill that spot. So that's going to equal 4. Okay, so now we have this x plus 1 squared equals 4. Now, if we have x plus 1 squared equals 4, in order to solve it, we have to do the opposite of a square, which is a square root. So we are technically going to square root both sides. When we do that, we have to remember to put a plus or a minus in front of the 4. That's very essential here. In the quadratic formula, you see a plus or minus. Same thing here. The square root gets a plus or minus. So when we square root the left side, the square and the square root cancel out, just leaving us with x plus 1. When we square root the 4, it's just the square root of 4. But don't forget, the plus or minus goes in front of that. The square root of 4 is 2. Now, last step, we need this by itself, so we need to do the opposite here. We need to subtract 1, and it's going to go right there. So we're going to get x equals negative 1 plus or minus 2. And then we just have 2 math problems to do. We're going to do negative 1 plus 2, negative 1 minus 2. We're going to get 2 answers. Negative 1 plus 2 is negative 3. Negative 1, I'm sorry, I was jumping ahead of myself. Okay, let's try again. Negative 1 plus 2 is 1. Negative 1 minus 2 is negative 3. Okay, so those are the 2 solutions that make that equation true. I hope that helps you learn how to complete the square. If it did, hit the like button, and if you could share it or subscribe, I'd appreciate it. Thanks.